Kirsty, thank you very much for joining us today. It's quite miraculous in some ways how quickly you have turned the school around. What have you done to achieve that in such a small amount of time?
The biggest thing for me is always the staff and the students. You've got to get them on board. You've got to get them understanding your message. And for me, that is make it clear, succinct, don't do too much at once, and get everybody rowing in the same direction. So the first thing I had to do was win them all over. I had to help them understand that I was there with them. So an interesting part of my journey when I first arrived, I'm meticulous for policy following. I think if you've got a policy, you have to follow it. Otherwise, what's the point in the policy? So, I stood up day one and I was like, we're going to confiscate all of the jewellery in the school. Now, obviously, that's frowned upon by many children. But I did it. And I spent all day walking around with envelopes, taking all the jewellery away and making sure that they were back in their correct uniform. And for the staff, they didn't do it day one, frankly. And I asked the question, I was like, why? Why is no one helping me? Why is it just me? And they said, oh, we didn't believe you would do it. But don't worry, we've watched, we're on it. And the next day, the staff did it for me. And the next day, by the end of the week, the jewellery was non-existent. We get a few like everybody else. But the students then start following that rule and the staff follow that policy. But what the staff needed to see was that I wasn't just going to tell them to do something. They needed to see that I was going to be present. I was going to support them in action in that and making it happen. And I think that was the biggest shift of this school, is knowing no matter what, if I'm asking them to do something, I'll do it myself. And I will support them every step of the way with whatever action needs to happen after that.
I think you've got a lot to be proud of, and what you have done here has brought in national attention, hasn't it? I mean, just tell us about some of the things that you've been experiencing recently within the media, for example.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I didn't set out to do when I became a head teacher, but I think that some of my views, my opinions, and the difference that we've made at this school is causing a little bit of traction. Yes, I have had phone calls with Radio 4 and things about what do I think about education and how are we going to change that. And the biggest driver for me at the moment, I'm working on a smartphone-free school policy. So we have a policy here at school. I want it to be tighter. And part of that is empowering the parents to say no, empowering them to say, actually, I don't have to buy you a smartphone right now because you are still a child and that's okay. And that is obviously pulling in some media attention because there are certain secondary schools that are doing that and certain ones that are not.
What age do you think children should have a mobile phone?
So mobile phones, I think, is two different things. Mobile phone versus smartphone. I think that it's appropriate for a child to have a mobile phone where they can text and they can call their parents, their family, and you've got that restricted use. That I'm not against. What I do worry is when we give them a smartphone, we're not just giving them access to their parents, their family, their best friend. We're giving them access to the outside world. One of the ways I liken it is, when I first introduced a mobile phone ban at this school, which we do very well, essentially, someone said to me, but it's their human right to have a mobile phone. And I was like, well, when we went to school, would it be okay to take your computer in and put it on your desk? I think your parents would say no. And that's what we're doing. They've got that in their pocket these days. And we just need to think a little bit more carefully about what we're doing. So my golden rule is that you might think that your child is ready for the internet. I have what I would say is a very sensible child. I think she's very diligent. And I might think, okay, I know she's safe to use that because I trust her. Of course I do. I'm her mum and I've worked really hard to build that trust between us. The issue is not her. The issue is who's got access to her when I open up that world. So even something as simple as YouTube, where my children are probably doing Draw with Rob, and that's what they love doing. But what's the next video that comes up? And how do I stop that next video being something I don't want her to see? And that is where I say there's a line. So mobile phones, having them at a younger age, I think is different, but I would recommend a simple phone. Whereas a smartphone, I think you are looking at 14 plus as a bare minimum to consider whether they should have access to that social media, whether they should have unrestricted access, and whether other people should have unrestricted access to your child. That's the key for me.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
I did not want my daughter to have a mobile phone when she was 12 years old, but all of her friends had a mobile phone, and I had the whole I'm the only one that doesn't argument. And that's quite horrible as a parent, because you don't want them to be the one that misses out on that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I think that is the argument that everybody's having with themselves right now. So I liken it to, there was once a day where we thought smoking was okay. We all now know that's not okay, and we are educating our children. We make sure that we prevent all of those things. I think it's a similar thing where we need to empower other people to do the same thing. And I get it, like, you've got peer pressure. You're worried. As a parent, we are worried that our child will be socially ostracised because they can't WhatsApp. But actually, if more of us come together and more of us work together on that, and everybody has a simple phone, well, that problem goes away. So that's similar to what we've done at Aureus. So we've introduced pouches for mobile phones. They lock their phones away in the day, and they unlock them at the end of the day. That was the starting process of us saying, absolutely no mobile phones in school. And interestingly, someone said to me, well, yeah, but what if they just get another phone? What if they have two phones? And my response was, well, who are they going to text? Because everybody else's phone is in the pouch.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, oh, clever. But, you know, it's if enough of us come together, and that was the point of my mobile phone event, where I spoke to parents actively about this, is that if we come together and make that pact that none of us are going to do it, then suddenly that peer pressure starts to go away. If you've got 10 children in that class that are not having a smartphone and they're only getting a simple phone, well, suddenly you've got 10 children that are going back to SMS. And that's okay. And if we can build that traction and actually all agree that maybe we shouldn't be doing this just yet, then that can make a difference. And my opinion is I want to empower parents to feel they can take that step. And because of my position, I'm able to access those parents, I suppose, and say that. Ultimately, it's my opinion, and I don't want anyone to think that that's anything other than, and I don't want anyone to be offended. If people buy their kids mobile phones, that's entirely up to them. But I want them to know the figures, the statistics, what's going on here, and what it's doing to our children. And I suppose today, I mean, you will have seen the news yesterday that they are now trialling an app to give the children their GCSE results. I'm heartbroken. It's one of the best days of my school year. I get to see those children come in, get those results. Some will smile, some will cry. We'll support them through every last bit, but they need human interaction. They need it. And if we give them an opt-out that they can just stay at home and get that pinged to them on an app, who do they see? Who do they celebrate with? Who do they go, oh my gosh, miss, I didn't know I was going to do it? Go up to their teacher and say, look at that grade, and share that excitement. I just think it's really sad if we take that away from them.
It's an interesting point, actually, because, I remember getting my results and the teachers were there and I was in floods of tears because I was delighted. Yeah, they were better than I was expecting, luckily. But yeah, that is a really special moment.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because when I first launched it, I was a little bit nervous as to who might say what and who might be against me. And actually, the parents were just like, thank goodness for that. Like, someone's finally saying it. And actually, last year in our open evening, we found parents were actively asking about it and were coming to look at us because they knew we had a stricter policy than other schools, and we're getting that now. And so our event recently, we had lots of different primary age parents coming in. We welcomed the public. I had other schools come in to speak to us and talk to us about it because they wanted to know how we were doing it, what we were doing. And I suppose the big question everybody has, like you say, how do I contact my child then? How do I know where they are? How do I track them? What other things can I do? So we gave them those solutions. But in addition to that, I'm aware there are parents like yourselves who've already given their child a phone because none of this was happening back then and you needed to, or you felt the need to. But we gave strategies to those parents of how can we rein it back a little bit? How can we remove some of those elements from the children to help them get better sleep again, to stop them worrying about how many notifications they're getting and how many likes they get and everything else. And so we gave some simple tools for those as well.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
Did you watch Adolescence?
I did, yes.
Did you know about the codes with the emojis and everything?
No, but that is one of the things that we also shared at the event. There's a periodic table of them now, and it was fascinating actually. It's one of our parents, she raised her hand and said, what's terrifying about this is that this is happening, but it takes away the innocence. And she was talking about, her younger child, she's like, who has got a phone. And actually she said it's the worst decision she made. She really wishes she could go back. But she said, but the innocence, my child's innocence is taken because that's what that emoji means, but my child's using it for the football team. You know, she was like, he's not using it for that reason, but now I'm terrified that his innocence has been taken. And I think that's a big conversation that people are having now.
There's been quite a bit of antisocial behaviour in Didcot involving young people recently, Great Western Park, people hitting doors, for example. What's the school doing to help with that side of things?
So we work really well. So we have a CASO in Didcot where we're working with the police to support all of those things. Inevitably, these things end up on social media, and as a school, we react. We contact those people if we can get hold of them. We want to talk to them. We want to work with the police. If it is our students, we're going to help. Conveniently, a lot of them haven't been ours, which is a good thing for us and a good thing for our reputation, obviously. But what we want to do is we want to work with them. We have an excellent personal development programme here. It's one of the things we're most proud of, and Ofsted really did highlight it as one of our most positive aspects, and that works with the children about how do you become a good citizen, how do you contribute to your community. And I think some of the things that we're so proud of in the last 2 years is how often our children are contributing to the community now, how often they're doing things above and beyond, so with our support sometimes, but sometimes doing it without us now, and we're seeing that traction, and it's just helping them understand what impact that can have. You know, if you're knocking a door of an elderly person who's at home on their own, that's really, really scary for them. Or if you're knocking the door and someone's got a child in bed, that's one, frustrating, but also scary if you're a parent at home on your own with a small baby, because you can't do anything and this is happening. So we just spend our time educating and making sure our students know how to contribute to the community, and then we celebrate that success when they contribute really well. So a good example is our student choir went down to the Meadows today to go and sing at the care home, and they took their scones and they did a little afternoon tea for them, all done by our students. And that's just showing them that's how you be a good part of this community. That's how you develop those relationships. You make someone happy today, and that's really important to us.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
Do you think children that live locally should be able to go to a local school? Because obviously there are situations now, I mean, I heard of a child in Woodcote having to go to Wantage. There's obviously children in Didcot that are having to go to Wallingford or Abingdon. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that I do what I do. So, I obviously got asked if I'd apply for a job in a school that needed a turnaround, and I jumped to the chance. I like a challenge, but also I feel really firm on the fact that children should be able to go to their local school. And if their local school is not a good school, that's very difficult for the parents to do that. You're obviously going to look at those judgments and think, no, I want to go to the one that's further away. So I think children should be able to go to their closest school, because I think, again, if we go back to that human interaction, walking to school with your friends, being able to call for your friends on the way home, or whatever it is that you're doing, you should feel that sense of community, and it helps you feel a belonging. Whereas if you're travelling 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, 2 buses, your parents have got to take you every day, all of those connections go, and all of that difficulty and the pressure that puts on the family and the child for the travel, it just seems wrong to me. I think children should really be able to go to their local school.
So what next for you? Where do you go from here?
So I'm a lifer, I think. No, I definitely, for me, being a head teacher, you've got to see your year groups through. So as a bare minimum, I'm going to do the 6 years. And that's to see the current year 7 out to their GCSEs. Because obviously they were the first year 7 that bought into me. They were the first ones that went, yes, okay, I want to go to that school with Miss Rogers. So definitely, without a doubt, that's my plan. And I think for Aureus, it's all about what we can achieve now. Like you pointed out, within 1 year, we went from strength to strength. We're in a really positive position. And what I want to do now is just build on that. And I know that we can. Our students are, they're living up to the challenge. We set the bar high. They're working hard to reach it all the time. They follow our school values. And I couldn't be prouder of them. And I suppose really for me, it's just seeing the result of that day in, day out is what I want to do now. My happiest moments are when I'm with children, and sometimes I have to sit in this office, and it annoys me because I've been in my office all day, and you'll see me, I'll go for a stomp because I need to go and see some children and get that, oh, this is why I do this, aren't you wonderful? And a good example of that that was last week we had Culture Day, and I think that was probably the proudest I've been since we got our Ofsted result, watching our children in their cultural dress, cooking different meals, sharing those conversations about where they come from, their heritage, and just seeing this amazing thing that they achieved. And they did it all themselves. We didn't do it. They made it happen.
A lot of proud moments. If I had to press you for your one happiest or most momentous moment that will be a lasting memory, and sometimes they're the smallest things, what would it be?
For me, I called a whole school assembly after I got my Ofsted report in, and when I first joined, they hadn't had a whole school assembly for many years. And I joined and was like, let's have a whole school assembly, quick, let's get everyone together. And then our Ofsted report came in and we called it a drop of a hat. The report was in at 12 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, I had everyone in the sports hall. And I just got to read the first line. And the first line just said, Orius School has changed for the better. And that's as far as I got before my whole sports hall erupted with cheers, because we had made sure that the children understood that was them. And that's really key to me. They are the school. When people talk about Orius, it's the children they're talking about, it's the staff they're talking about, it's the families that we work with. And when they say that our school is good, they mean that you are good and you are successful. And I think no one's ever going to take that proudness away from me, because it worked. They understood that and they couldn't be happier either.
What a fantastic reward. What a lovely way for you to be able to make that announcement and know that the children understood the importance and just share that. That's lovely.
Brilliant.
Kirsty, it's been so nice talking to you today. Thank you ever so much for joining the Didcot podcast. I've learnt a lot. It's been really good to talk to you, and we wish you all the very best with your journey here at Orius School.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure.